Welcome, everyone. We're so excited. We'll get started here in just a couple seconds as everyone gets in from the waiting room. And as you guys get settled in, definitely take a moment, introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know your name and where you're coming from. We're so excited for everyone to be here tonight. All right, let's get this party started. So hello, Familia. Welcome to tonight's meeting with our new CEO, Suzanna Valdez Wolfe. We are thrilled to introduce you to Suzanna, who brings a wealth of experience and a fresh perspective to our organization. My name is Ashley Tierney, and I am a Senior Director on SHPE's Research and Impact team. I get the pleasure to lead the small and mighty team that supports our professional members. It's an honor to be gathered with so many of our professional members here tonight. SHPE's professional members are an ever-growing portion of our amazing and talented membership, and we look forward to hearing your perspective as Suzanna debriefs her first 100 days. Before I introduce you to our guests of honor, there are a couple of housekeeping notes. First, throughout today's session, make sure and drop your questions in the Q&A. We won't be able to answer every single one tonight, but we will make sure to answer a few of them during the Q&A at the end. So make sure and share those thoughts and inquiries. We're so excited to hear from you. And those that we aren't able to answer live will get an answer via email within a couple of weeks. Additionally, we're also recording tonight's session. The recording will be available in our newsletter, and you'll have the opportunity to revisit the discussion and share it with colleagues who couldn't attend. Now, on to our exciting content. Suzanna has more than 30 years of experience across nonprofit, public, and private sectors, including roles in the Clinton-Gore administration and advisory positions on over a dozen NGO boards. She is an expert in leadership, strategic planning, fundraising, coalition building, and process integration. As a staff, we are beyond excited to have her on board with us tonight. It's also my pleasure to introduce you to our distinguished guest this evening. And while his reputation certainly precedes him, I want to highlight some of his incredible accomplishments. Jay Flores is a global STEM ambassador and the founder of Invent the Change. You might recognize him from NBC's American Ninja Warrior, where he's a semifinalist on this current season. Go Jay. Jay is also the host of PBS's innovation show, Make 48, and has starred on shows for Telemundo and ESPN. One of the most influential voices in K-12 STEM education, Jay reaches millions of students every single month. He's a mystery guide on Discovery Education's Mystery Science, the most widely used K through 5th grade science resource in the United States. Additionally, Jay is the creator and host of It's Not Magic, It's Science, a brand dedicated to providing entertaining and equitable STEM experiences. We are truly proud to call Jay both a friend and a member of the SHPE Familia. Welcome, Jay. Thank you so much for being here.
Gracias, Ashley, and gracias everyone that is joining in today. I see people from Texas to Milwaukee to California, Florida, all over the country. It's great to have you all here, spending your evening getting to know Suzanna, learning how you can contribute as well to her mission and vision and that of the organization. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to continue to support the organization that I hope has had a significant impact on your life as it has on mine. But we also realize how much your involvement and engagement continues to contribute value to the organization back, whether that be through mentoring students or just continuing to excel as incredible role models. And speaking of incredible role models, I've been able to connect with Suzanna over the last few months in her first 100 days. We first met at the regional conference here in Miami, and we're both local to South Florida. So we've been able to connect, and I'm very excited for what she already is and will contribute to the organization. So thank you, Suzanna, for being here with us tonight and giving us the opportunity to ask you some questions and interact with our professional members.
Thank you, Jay, and thank you for making time. You've got a incredibly crazy schedule. So we're grateful that you made time for your familia tonight and to be here with us this evening. And remember, I might ask you a question or two. So this is a dialogue and a conversation.
Of course. Yes, happy to be here and looking forward to the questions we get from the audience. Please make sure that you use the Q&A feature instead of the chat, because we're going to have a lot of excitement and activity in the chat. I want to make sure we can address questions specifically from the Q&A section. But my first question for you, Suzanna, is why SHPE? Of all the incredible things that you've done and all the incredible things you could choose to continue to do, what attracted you to this role, and why did you ultimately decide to join the SHPE Familia?
Thank you, Jay. So I just want to call out and my thank yous to Ashley, to Anna, to Jen for making today and this evening possible. For those of you that know, we had a conversation just like this on Tuesday evening. And so they've been working very hard with Jay and I to put this together. So I'm very grateful to them for making this moment possible for us. So why SHPE? Initially, as I was thinking about SHPE and rediscovering SHPE, because I was familiar with SHPE about 30 years ago when I was in DC and I was working in advocacy and Latino engagement. And so I was always called by the mission of SHPE. And upon my research and as I was talking with the board and as I was talking with individuals, it was not only the mission of SHPE about promoting and supporting and advocating for Latinos in STEM. It was really this moment, as some people, I would say it's an inflection point, because this is our 50th anniversary. And to think about SHPE being around for 50 years, and also not only was it wasn't surviving 50 years, it was thriving over 50 years. And so thinking about the responsibility, the opportunity, the potential, and the possibilities for the next 50 years, I feel honored to have been considered for this role. I feel supremely honored to have been selected. And what excites me is the people that I get to work with and I meet every day. The members, especially, hearing everyone's story, the professionals, as I've been traveling throughout the country and I've been going to our fiestas and getting to meet all the regional folks, all the chapter leaders, all the professionals. It's inspiring because I can spend 2 to 3 hours each evening just listening to all the stories. And every story that I hear is incredibly moving and inspiring to me. And so to be here now and to be able to work with all of you and to collaborate with you day in and day out, what an incredible way to give back to my community, to give back to our community, but also to figure out how we fund the dream, right? How we fund the dream of every Latino, Latina that wants a STEM career, and that SHPE is here. And as many of you all know, it's here to support you in every way, whether it's financial assistance, it's mentorship, it's just support, network, community. This mission is incredibly inspiring, and it's the people that inspire me the most. So again, I feel very grateful to be here, Jake.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure you've maybe even close to brought to tears in some of the stories you've heard throughout your time. I know I was at the regional conference with some of the students I interacted with, and professionals that have been with the organization for years and years and still stick around because of how powerful that impact has been on them personally, and then that they can continue to see it with others. So as we continue to try, as you mentioned, to fill those dreams for students and professionals across the organization, because it's not just about getting that internship and the career. It's about making sure that our professionals continue to be able to grow and succeed and make it to the highest levels of their personal goals. What are some of the leadership lessons that you've learned along your career that might help our professionals who are navigating challenging situations in the workforce and growing their families and doing all the wonderful things they do for SHPE? What are some of those lessons that you've implemented to take you to where you are today that they may be able to benefit from as well?
Well, thank you for that question. You know, it's interesting because every iteration of your career is different. So it's like, you know, you celebrate the moment that you get the job, right? And then you're in the role, and then you're thinking about, okay, how do I advance? And it's interesting because I had some great conversations in Houston, and shout out to all our familia in Texas. But when I was at the IPC meeting in Houston, I got to speak to a lot of our IPC partners. And one of the things that they remarked on is like, they were so grateful to recruit just talented, brilliant professionals into their companies. Their question to me, and one of the areas that they want to focus on, is how to keep advancing the professionals throughout the company. And I think that we all, when we think about professional advancement, it means different things to every one of us. To some of you that are well into your careers, you're starting families, you're supporting families. What does that mean to advance in your career, but also be there for your family? So it's really figuring out what matters to you, what's most important to you, and how can SHPE support you. I think one of the greatest assets and gifts that SHPE has, it's its network and its community. I think about the professionals that I have been able to meet in SHPE, and many of them are lifetime members. And to think that they always make themselves available to anyone that reaches out and says, here's where I am in my career, how can I get help? And so what I say to all of you is, make sure that you surround yourselves with a community of mentors and peers that believe in what you're doing, share your dreams, understand how you want and to grow your career and advance your career, and just keep those folks close to you. And reach out to mentors and reach out to people that you feel that really share your values, that share your ambition, share your dreams, and engage them in your journey. And what I found throughout my career is that when you ask people to help, they're so honored, flattered, moved to help you. They just want to be asked. So please don't shy away, and don't overlook the many people that are around you, that are in your orbit, that are in your network, that are in SHPE. I mean, that's one of the reasons I believe the founders of SHPE created SHPE, is to be that community, that lifetime community for you. And so it's one of the gifts that we have. It's one of the assets that we have. And I know that whether you're staff or you're the board or you're out in the SHPE Familia, you really take that pay it forward value to heart, and you invest in it, and you actually live it every day.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the most powerful things. And I've shared that with SHPE audiences and with my family, is just that even if I weren't able to guide, my cousins and my siblings and now my son, I know that they know what SHPE is and they know where to go if they were to need that help, and I wouldn't be able to provide it. So again, thank you to all the professionals that make up that ecosystem that provides so much value to everyone, and to all the staff and board members that put in so much time and effort to making this possible. Which makes me think of, professionals that maybe were students in the past and kind of, then thought, oh, well, now I've got a job and I don't have to stay as connected or be as involved, or even maybe some professionals that are starting to, didn't have a connection to SHPE, but hear about us now and want to get involved. What do you think is that kind of value to members from the outside joining into the Familia from what you've seen so far?
So one of the common denominators of many conversations I've had is for professionals, graduate students, volunteers, saying, if I had only known about SHIP before, right? And so to me, it's like, it's an opportunity for all of us to continually to bring people in, right? Spread that word, bring folks in, create opportunities for them to learn about SHIP. And just, spread the word, spread the love. Like this is what SHIP is here to do. It's been around for 50 years. It continues to grow. We want to continue building professional development opportunities. We have some now under our Latinx initiative, Latinx Factor. And so everyone that comes in will help us be better, right? And so we focused on certain areas as we've grown as an organization. That as we embark on our 51st year, and I just want that to kind of settle on everyone. You're launching the 51st year, the next 10 to 50 years of SHIP. And what is it that you want SHIP to look like, right? So we have over 18,000 members. I'm not saying that we have to be 50,000 members. That would be great, as long as everyone can benefit from the resources of SHIP, the support of SHIP, the network of SHIP, the programs of SHIP. And so that's what I think about is imagine what it is that you're helping to build for the next 50 years, and bring as many people as you can into this so that more people can benefit from our organization and from our talented, warm, embracing culture, the staff that works so hard to build programs that resonate and that serve our members, our volunteers, our board, that we're going to be embarking on a strategic planning session in the next couple of months. And so, thinking about what we're talking about right now is, what's the SHIP that we want to see? What's the SHIP that we want to grow? That moment is now, and your engagement is now. And so I just ask every one of you, bring as many people as you can in, and tell us what it is that you need and you want that's going to make a difference in your career.
I wish we could bottle all the passion that our professional members have for this organization and send a little sample out to every Hispanic that's interested in STEM, and just have them open that quick, and they would know how wonderful and powerful it is. But since we can't do that, we definitely need everyone to share their stories, to invite people to the table, to talk to their employers, etc. Because SHIP truly does change lives, and the more people we can get to feel that impact, the more impact we can then have on future generations. But
And
this
Jay,
reminds me of,
add a piece on that. What I love is on social media, and I'm a social media novice. Okay, my son calls me a digital dinosaur, but this is the wrong crowd to say that to. But I love seeing on LinkedIn, like I love seeing the stories. I love hearing how proud you all are of SHIP, how we are. And so I just encourage you to keep that up, because as I'm scrolling through at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, like when I can't sleep sometimes, it's so inspiring to just see how passionate everyone is and how passionate you all are. And then you message me, or you send me emails, and that's what this is about, is just staying connected and supporting one another, and telling our stories, telling your stories. Thank you, Jay.
absolutely. So please do connect with the both of us on LinkedIn. I echo that. I love seeing stories of the impact that SHIP is making, and even just volunteer events and outreach and networking, all the wonderful things that you guys can share. Let's make sure we put that out into at least the LinkedIn universe. You don't have to be an expert in TikTok or Instagram or anything. Then we can all at least navigate putting some photos on LinkedIn and showcasing why we love SHIP and the work we're doing. So I think that's a great challenge. But it made me think of something we did with the students on the last call that we had on Tuesday, where you asked them, what point in your earlier life, whether that's middle school or high school or elementary school, would you have loved to have been connected to SHIP? So I want to ask the professionals, If you could put this in the chat, remember the questions you have for Suzanna, please put those in the Q&A section. But in the chat, can you share what stage of your career do you wish either you didn't have SHIP at that stage and you really wish you could have had more engagement and more support and more programming, and or if you did, what area of your career did SHIP really help take you to the next level? We'd love to get some feedback on that. One of the things I love about Suzanna as a leader is she does a lot of listening, a lot of asking questions, and that then feeds what she decides and brings to the staff and the board and the Industrial Partnership Council, etc. So we'll go with that. So you also, though, mentioned the strategic plan, and we did get a question from Ramon Martinez, who, a cool story, was Region 3 regional student representative when I was on the national board as a student, and now he's the Region 3 vice president as a professional. So that's at least 10 plus years of engagement post his university time. And he had questions about the implementation of the strategic plan, like about how long does that take for the team to put it together, and when does that start executing? What type of length is the vision for that strategic plan?
So that's a great question. Thank you, Ramon. I would say hopefully by October, November, we will have identified what firm we want to work with on a strategic plan. So keep in mind, I always say to people, because I've been involved in too many strategic planning sessions, but it's all good, that we have to manage our expectations of what a strategic plan is. And so one of the terms that was used probably more right during COVID and after COVID was strategic direction, right? Because COVID just threw the world on its ear, like everything, nobody had imagined that could happen. It did happen. And I'll never forget, it was, I'm trying to remember, he was the chairman of the board of Rockefeller Foundation. And I was listening to some interview that he did. And one of the traits, one of the values, one of the things that he embarked on and shared, not only with the foundation, but to the listening audience, is your most important asset as a person and as an organization is agility. And so always be agile to respond to the moment. Always think about how flexible can we be? How agile can we be? Should there be another change, right? And so that's when I think people started adopting more about strategic direction, like what's going to get us. So strategic plan is usually 3 to 5 years. It can be 10 years, but you have to really keep revisiting it, and also make sure that you're implementing what it is that you set out to do for the organization. And so it's a 3 to 5 year plan. And then as CEO and as the organization and the staff and the team, we need to ensure that every year we are carrying out the direction of the strategic plan. So the last plan was done 2022 through 2025. So its quote unquote shelf life will expire in December. So the board was anticipating this, and also with all the change that's been happening, and also embarking on our the next 50 years of SHIP, it was important to really think about what is now our strategic plan. Again, it may not be a wholesale change from the pillars that are part of the strategic plan now. I think that it's probably going to build on that, but really thinking about, and it's the questions that I ask you all when I see you all out on the road or on Zoom meetings, is what is the value proposition of SHIP? And who were we serving? What is our role? What were we meant, or what were we created to do? What should we be doing in the next 50 years? And it's really answering that question, because organizations can't be all things to all people. And I know that some of you have heard me say that, back to Jay's question that I ask, is that where in your lifetime and where in your education would you have most benefited from engaging with SHPE? Some of you have said middle school, some of you have said high school, some of you said it came at the right time at college because you wouldn't have been ready before then. So recognizing that we need to collect and absorb that information. Like, now that you're a professional, what is the value proposition of SHPE to you? And it's our job to fulfill that value proposition. And that's what a strategic plan should do, and we hope to do. But we will be managing expectations as we embark on this. And again, it's not the magic bullet. It's not the secret plan, to be the most successful nonprofit. It's really identifying what we should be doing and how we should be doing it.
I appreciate that because, that helps bring a lot of light to the focus area and understanding the timelines, and that we need to stay connected to the mission and vision every year, not just with what that strategic plan said 3 years ago, et cetera. But I'm seeing in the responses to your question, first of all, a lot of very familiar names that I'm just happy to see again. Some of you I get to see often at national convention or regional events, and others of you I haven't seen in a while, but I just want everyone in the chat to know that it just makes me happy seeing all these names still engaged with the organization all across the country. And I was expecting the answers to be around, early career or transition points in your career, but almost everyone is saying, even some saying, I wish I would have known in elementary school, which leads to one of the questions that we had submitted earlier from one of our professionals that has 2 daughters. And she's interested in knowing what are some of the plans for the engaging with the K-12 space. And I know a lot of our professionals, in addition to wanting to do outreach, are also trying to figure out, how do I keep my own children excited about STEM and engaged, and keeping them connected to SHPE. So could you share some thoughts on what you view as the future for K-12 with SHPE?
So I think that right now we're asking that question, and remember, keeping in mind, right, if you're going to be a responsible nonprofit, you have to ensure that you have the capacity, right, to meet the demand and meet the need. And so I think that we owe it to ourselves to explore what we can do. And one of the greatest gifts and assets that SHPE has is its 18,000 members, including, our professional members and our graduate students. And what I would say is that as we explore additional programming to Noche de Ciencias, Equipando Padres, and all the programming that we do in K through 12, and a shout out to the team that leads those efforts for us, is think about how you can, like the virtual STEM lab. So what I love on the virtual STEM lab is how many volunteers step forward to help Deanna with virtual STEM lab, and how many people we reach. And so as professionals in your regions, as we create programs and as we think about programs, and again, we have to road test it, and we also have to ensure that it ties to our strategic vision, that should we expand K through 12 programming, then what role can you all play in your regions and in your communities and in your schools and in your children's schools to support that programming, to support it, to promote it, to be our ambassadors? I'll tell you, there's no stronger ambassador than a parent, because when you advocate for your children, that is ánimo, corazón. It's all that, because you want the best for your kids. And so I would say that my ask to you, as we explore and possibly expand our K through 12 programming, please be there to volunteer, be our ambassadors, and support that programming. But I'll come back I'll come back to this group, and once we have something to report, you'll be one of the first to know about it.
Thank you, Susanna. And yes, if you haven't engaged your families or your community with the virtual STEM labs, that's something that can be done anywhere with very, I guess, little barriers for entry. Is, of course, the kids need to be able to access the internet, etc. But it does help reduce the barriers to engagement with a very high quality STEM activity with SHPE professionals. So please, if you haven't taken a look at the virtual STEM labs yet, check those emails that SHPE sends out. I see them all the time. So make sure you're clicking the link and sharing it with your community, your families, and then especially with maybe some of the schools in your area that the parents might not be as engaged, and we can get the students involved. And I'm seeing it in the chat, Susanna, that we've got a member that started since middle school because their older brother was a member at the San Diego State chapter, and that they already knew they wanted to be an engineer before even applying for colleges or anything because of that connection to the Noche de Ciencias. And that's just one of hoping thousands, if not tens of thousands of experiences that we're creating. But as Susanna said, if we don't have those connections at the local level, it becomes very difficult to reach those kids that need it the most. But
so Jake, can I now ask you a question?
I was trying to ask another one first because I knew you were coming for me.
I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Ninja. I'm coming for you.
I am happy to share.
So your personal journey, I mean, you're an entrepreneur. You were with SHPE since 2008, if I'm not mistaken, at the University of Wisconsin. You continue to be so connected to our mission, so connected to our community, so connected to us. Like, as an entrepreneur, as a SHPE member, like, what is it that gives you that inspiration and drive to just give it 1,000% every day? And for those of you that don't know and haven't seen it, I can't imagine you haven't, because everybody has seen Jay on American Ninja Warrior. One of the things he shared with our students, our members, our chapter leaders and folks, is that this was his 10th time, right? He had tried out 9 times before he made it, and now a semifinalist. So Jay, where do you get that fire and that inspiration to do that and to accomplish that?
I appreciate the question and also the mini shout out. So if you haven't seen it, you can check out my LinkedIn, and I've got some clips from the show. But it's 2 things. Partially very blessed to have 2 wonderful parents that sacrificed everything. I mean, my dad almost got sent to Kuwait during the conflict back then when he was in the army. My dad joined the military because he needed the funds to create a family, right? And my mother postponed her school while my father was in the military to be able to do that. So the way they got married is my dad was about to get sent off to Kuwait, and they decided they needed to get married before that. So even just sacrificing that process of their life so that they could provide what me and my sister have had today is that was always like something in the back of my mind. I always wanted to be able to repay those sacrifices. I know I never will fully be able to, but every day I'll try. And then the other is I'm the oldest of all the grandchildren on both sides of the family. So I'm the first on both sides, and I have a lot of cousins that didn't have the same level of both parent engagement. And so I try to become that role model male figure for them. And SHPE was one of the best places for me to be able to truly do that in an impactful way. Outside of obviously just loving them and being around them, SHPE provided me an avenue to be able to develop myself into a role model that they could follow and provide them with, resources and skills to be able to take that journey for themselves as well. And so it started off with just trying to be a good example for those kids. And then I started to realize as I started doing more outreach with SHPE that there's tons of kids that need this as well. And so then it grew from just my family to then my SHPE Familia to then the community around my chapter to the national level when I took on the board position as a student. And now with the platform that I have globally, any kid that is interested or has any kind of passion for science, or even the ones that don't know they're interested yet, I'm trying to get them. And so it's just been this permanent fuel, because every day is another opportunity to reach one of those kids that didn't have the same support I did at home. And I really do want that for every child to at least have the opportunity to learn about SHPE and be exposed to the resources that can help them do what they want to do. So, I mean, I have my lifetime member pin right here, but you guys, that I'll be around forever, and will hopefully always be able to provide value to help you all take that even further. You know, some of the things that I create are so that other parents and advocates, even if you don't have children, can share that with other communities. So if you check out any of my mystery science videos, or It's Not Magic, It's Science videos, those are all designed with equity in mind, so that any kid can access them and feel like they can be an engineer or a scientist. So
That's incredible. And after our conversation, so for those of you that didn't hear us at the beginning, I not only met Jay at RLDC, but I kind of hounded him, stalked him, so that I could have a one-on-one meeting with him. And I want to thank Rhonda, I think she's on this call, for introducing me to Jay at the RLDC. I'll never forget, it was at the reception at RLDC that Rhonda says, "There's somebody you need to meet." I'm like, okay. And there Jay was. But one of the ideas, or one of the areas I want to explore, Jay, is how SHPE can support entrepreneurs, right? And I think professionally, when you're in your career, and we have a growing and thriving partnership with IPCs, but one of the areas I have curiosity, and I hope the team doesn't throw their shoe at me, but it's like I'm curious, like as I was talking to the board, I would happen to have been watching Shark Tank, and I was like, because I love Shark Tank, I can tell you every episode. And I kept thinking, what if we create a SHPE tank at SHPE, right, for entrepreneurs? And so again, we can't be all things to all people, but I've always thought about that. Like, is there an opportunity, and could we get the private equity and the investors to fund something like that? Because as I look at you as an entrepreneur and how you started creating your pathway through entrepreneurship, it's like there are more out there. And I'm just asking the question, is that our role, number one? Is that two, an opportunity for us? And then would that be part of our strategic vision? So just something to think out loud, but you really inspired that, and gave me fuel for that kind of thinking. So thank you for letting me share.
Absolutely. And I think that's another thing, professionals, if you want to throw into the chat section, what are those areas that could be extremely valuable that are not the traditional engineering technical path, right, that the organization can help with? Because a lot of the skills that I leverage in my entrepreneurial side came via SHPE experiences that worked my other skills outside of the classroom, right? It was the leadership, it was the strategic planning types of sessions that I also went through as a board member. It was the connections I made, the mentors. And one of my first, and I'd say most important mentors in my life, was Fernando Rosario, a SHPE lifetime member as well, who I met very, very early on, and I saw a different path that was possible for me, and I started to explore that and took my way down there. And I also need to shout out Rhonda, because thank you for the connection, but also she's been such a great supporter of all of my content on LinkedIn, and she gives the best hugs. So thank you, Rhonda, and everyone that helps amplify any of the things that SHPE and myself are doing.
And I
Um,
also want to just say for everyone that may or may not know this, but Jay was on the board that came up with the mission and vision that we have now. So he was one of the authors, the founding fathers, founding authors that came up with our vision and mission. If you all have time, just ask him about being on the board. And, you know, there's nothing like developing your career and serving on boards. Because it really helps develop not only you as a leader, but how leadership, I always say to people that bad leaders and bad managers can scar people for life, right? And so you always want to be the good leader, the opposite of that. And people will always show you and model you the negative, but it's those gems that model the positive that you want to be around. And so volunteering and serving on boards is a great way to develop yourself, your network, and your leadership development as you go through your careers.
Absolutely. If it weren't for all of those, again, skill sets that I gained as a ship leader that weren't available to me in my entry level positions, I would not have been able to advance within my own career. And then also it made launching my business so much easier because I wasn't starting from scratch. I had all these connections via the board service and other STEM advisory councils that I served on that allow me to do what I do today. So absolutely. And I'm seeing in the chat as well, some comments that Rod Garcia, our founder, was very fond of pushing entrepreneurship, especially in the later phases of his engagement with the organization. And there's a lot of value that members can take via that path. One question that we've got a couple versions of here in the Q&A. So I'm not sure if you've had the time to do this yet. So if you haven't, we'll give you a pass. But have you been able to engage with some of the other, I guess, sister organizations like NSBE, Society of Women Engineers, National Society of Black Engineers? We've listed several here, but have you had an opportunity to do that? And are there any thoughts you have on how we can partner in that space together?
So yes, the answer is yes. So I've been on several virtual meetings with SWE and NSBE and ACES. And one of my personal interests is collaboration. I think if you all look up through my career, I learned very early on that you get farther with collaborations, right? It's like people used to say in the space, like especially in the advocacy space, when it came to either Latinos or African Americans, it's like, you know, we don't want to fight over crumbs, right? Because it's like whatever was designated for, you know, people of color, minorities, whatever. And what I love is that if everyone bands together and they collaborate and they partner, the possibilities are endless. So I want to partner with SWE, NSBE, all our sister organizations to see what is it that we can do collectively to help our members, to help the greater community. And I don't have answers for you now. I do believe, and you know, as some of you know, I did fundraising for 11 years, and the greatest grants that we ever received were grants out of collaboration. And I want to explore as we pursue grant opportunities, are there possibilities for, because funders love collaborations. It's like when everybody works together and everybody partners, there's more to share. And so I am a person that doesn't believe in either or, but both and, right? Or yes and. And so my short answer is I have met with them. I have not met with them yet one-to-one. I hope they come out to our convention, but I want to explore opportunities where we can collaborate and where we can benefit the greater good, the collective us, if that's possible. I think that's possible.
Absolutely. And I love to hear that mentality, and it's great to hear it from the funding side as well, because I think there's a lot that can be done when we collaborate. That makes maybe an even more challenging question that we received several versions of in the pre-event submission form, and then we'll go to the Q&A from today. So make sure if you haven't put your question in the Q&A section yet, please do that now while I take our last question from the previous submitted ones. And that's around how can chapters and chapter leaders maneuver through some of the anti-DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion policies that have been popping up and rhetoric.
So I think that what I'm learning is that we need to hear from you all what's happening in the states, right? Because there's a lot going on at the state level and it varies from state to state. So if it means reduced funding, if it means reduced access, if like we need to hear from you all and how it's impacting you regionally, how it's impacting your companies, how it's impacting just your whole kind of ecosystem. We need more information. When I was asked this question by a conservative member of Congress about, you know, why it's important and why does DEI matter, I answered him in a way that was pleasant and respectful. And I always point to that diversity gives us the best opportunity to be competitive. And if we look at this country, our greatest asset is our diversity. And we know as Latinos that we are educated, capable, trained. We are prepared to meet the moment. And the moment you all are part and a huge part of the innovation economy in a way that I wasn't 25, that wasn't where the country was. But now, if you look around you in AI and everything that's happening, SHPE is prepared to meet that moment. And every one of you is meeting that moment and will continue to do so. So if something's happening in your companies, if something's happening in your state, if something's that we just need more information so we know how we can help you. Did I answer your question, Jay?
Yeah, I think that's key because it's very different in every state, in every city. And so the more we know, the more we can support, especially for student chapters as well, where that can impact whether you're able to rent out a room for a SHPE meeting or not, something that we may take for granted. There's tons of ways that this might impact. Some of the things that I've gotten help with, at least with some of the other organizations that I advise from a STEM perspective, is there's sometimes just fear of language, right? Certain words scare people, but there's other words for all of the important things that we're trying to do. So one of the organizations I work with uses the phrase gracious professionalism, right? Within gracious professionalism and being a gracious professional, you need to be an inclusive person, right? You need to think about making sure that your team is supported, et cetera. So for those in the meantime where you're trying to find solutions and we can help at a bigger scale, sometimes it's just the way that you present some of the topics. We have a question here from Lazaro, who shout out for being a SHPE Star Award member recently. He's asking that, you had a perception of SHPE prior to being CEO. You had seen it from the outside. Now that you're part of SHPE, has it met, exceeded? Does it need to improve in terms of what your expectations were prior to entering? What are you seeing now so far in your first 100 days?
So context is that if I go back 30 years ago when I first met Rod Garcia and other community leaders, and to think that their organizations were 5, 10, 15, and I don't know the exact size of SHPE in 1995, 1996, but if I think about what was built in the last 25 or 30 years, it is overwhelmingly impressive, right? And one of the things that I say, I've worked in nonprofits. As many of you know, I worked in public service. And the common denominator is that you're creating and you're building something for others. You're in service to others. And as I walked into this organization and I said, because it was interesting, and the website, I saw 13,000 members. On the website, I saw 15,000 members. And I walk in, it's like 18,000 members. I'm sorry. It's like, that was just overwhelming to me. And I thought to myself, that is absolutely astounding and a credit to the mission of SHIP. And Jay is someone who was part of the board that established the mission or vision. If your mission can sustain that kind of road test and thrive, that means it was the right idea for the right people at the right time. And so to me, Lazaro, it's meeting every one of you, hearing your stories, and for me to think, but for SHIP, this would not have been possible. And with that, I think I can't imagine SHIP not existing. Now that I'm here, it's like, how this is, as I say to people, you need to know about us. Like, you need to know what we do. And it's not only changes lives forever, but the impact that it has on families, on communities, on careers. It's again, I'm humbled and I'm honored to be here because it's pretty incredible. And hats off to everyone that's part of it, as a volunteer, as a staff member, as a board member. Like, this is so fulfilling. And to think about the legacy that you're leaving behind, you're paying it forward for so many more generations.
It blows my mind every time, because I was just thinking at different levels, right? 18,000 is amazing. But even if you look at it at one chapter, I mean, there's some chapters at certain universities that have changed thousands and thousands of lives, just that one chapter, and the incredible journeys that some of those students have taken and where they are today is just amazing. And I'm sure there's tons that I haven't heard of that we're not always aware of, but there's lots of the stories out there. And this goes kind of into a question here from Natalia Arisa, another name I'm happy to see again. Saludos, Natalia. She's curious if getting Latinos to director and VP levels in companies is a strategic objective. She'd love to see your thoughts on, sorry, the question shifted, and perhaps if this is one of SHIP's primary goals. So again, as we continue to develop, grow as an organization, increase our influence, do you see that as something that's part of SHIP's responsibility, or something that we just connect to?
I believe it's our collective responsibility, and I'll even go one step further. That's my responsibility. And I, again, have been blessed with a very fulfilling career. I've been blessed with many opportunities. And it's interesting, I happened to be working at the Department of Labor when we were working on the Pay Equity Act. And if you all didn't know this information before, and I don't know how much the data and stats have changed, but for every dollar that a white male earns, it's 75 cents for a white female, 65 cents for a Black female, and 55 cents for a Hispanic Latina. And again, that information was 25 years ago. I'd like to see what the data is now. And when you work in that space and you think about equity and inclusiveness, I made it my responsibility and my passion to help anyone that wants to accelerate their career, grow, expand. And yes, do I believe that there's a place for SHPE in that? Absolutely. And we do have professional development programs that you can see on our website that are dedicated to that, networking, programming, coursework. And so the content is rich for our professional development. But again, I ask the question, what is our value proposition there? And that's a question that we'll be asking ourselves. But I would kind of go out on a limb and say, not only do I feel it's my personal responsibility that if you reach out to me and you want to advance in your career, how I can help you, but I would reach out to board members. I'd reach out to other leaders in the organization, lifetime members. I mean, to think about some of all of the accomplishments that our members have had in their industries, in their areas of focus, it's extraordinary. So it should not only, it may be a programming priority as it is now, and we may build on that, but reach out to us personally and ask us how we can help you and advance through careers, and what ideas we have and strategies and pathways we can share with you for professional development and career advancement.
Yeah, we've got a member that's done it probably. And if not, you could be that member that's done it. Hopefully you'll be able to be the trailblazer, and other members can help, advise and support and guide you along that journey. For me, a lot of times it was even just having peers that anytime I had a doubt said, no, you got this, go for it, right? So make sure you're truly staying connected to the SHPE family. As I mentioned, a lot of you I have stayed in contact with, and there's other names that are popping up that I'm like, wow, why haven't we connected in a while? So let's make sure that we're all actively supporting each other and reaching out. So we're getting close to time. So I want to ask you one question.
Can I ask you one more question? I've only asked you one question, Jay.
Okay.
I got 2 questions left. So just very quickly, who are your leadership models, mentors, inspirations? Like, I shared that I have people that I turn to personally here, but whether I'm driving or I'm on a walk and it's Brene Brown and Jay Shetty and Simon Sinek, or it's just like I have my go-tos, right? So who are your go-tos when you're kind of thinking you need some inspiration that day?
So as you've started to ask the question, I start thinking like, who are all the gurus that I watch on YouTube and stuff, right? So there's tons of people for whatever you're trying to do. There is somebody on YouTube that you can learn how to do with that. And the coolest thing about YouTube and living at this time that we're in is that they could be dead and their video is still there and you can still learn from them, right? Or it might be someone that you might not ever have a chance of getting a conversation with, and you could still learn from them. So make sure that your social media usage is strategic and you are following the types of accounts that are going to help you grow, right? So I hate when people are like, oh, I'm quitting Facebook because it's too toxic. Facebook is a reflection of the people you're surrounding yourself with. Those are friends you chose to follow, right? So make sure that you are following resources that are guiding you in the right direction and empowering you. But when things are hard, or when, I want to push forward, it goes back to the kids that I'm reaching, right?
Awesome.
That's what gets me through the hard days, what refocuses me. And it's just like remembering how important the interaction I had with, a child or a SHPE member that may have shared that experience with me, of how it helped them get to X, Y, or Z. And I think back to my own journey and how people helped me get to where I am. And then the idea that there's more that need it, right? And every day is another opportunity to reach another kid. So it doesn't mean I don't have bad days. It doesn't mean that there's times where I'm getting ready to present and I'm a little bit like, do I really want to do this today? And every time that, that comes through everybody's head. It's natural, it's normal, but then I just reground myself and the impact that we can have as an organization and as individuals. and it helps me keep going all the time.
I
I
love that.
recently,
You.
thank you. I recently got a message. So I was on another show on Telemundo called Exatlon, and I was there for 3 months, primetime Telemundo. It was terrible because I was disconnected from the rest of the world for 3 months, but it was wonderful in the time of exposure. And after it, one of the things I really wanted to do was go back to my hometown and go to as many of the bilingual middle and elementary schools as I could. And I went back and it was awesome. I mean, right after that show, and at least in the Hispanic community, it was like true celebrity. The kids went wild, and I thought it was cool. I was like, but did they really get my STEM message, right? Because I wanted to make sure I put that in there. I wanted to show them the cool stuff we did on the show and answer their questions and sign the autographs and all that. But I really wanted to leave them with a STEM message. And earlier this week, I got a LinkedIn request from a student from from Milwaukee School of Engineering.
Awesome.
And it said, "Hi, Jay, you spoke at my school in 2019, and now I'm studying computer science at Milwaukee School of Engineering." And that was one of the
Wow.
coolest feelings, goosebumps. No matter who you are, what level of engagement you are, you guys can get out into community and talk to a few students. And what is 5 years later now, that student is now studying engineering, and I reminded them to connect with the SHIP chapter once they get on campus. So make sure you
Awesome.
stay
Full
connected.
circle. Full
Yeah.
circle. Yes.
Absolutely. And that's the power of this organization. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Suzanna, for your leadership and helping us get set up for another 50 and beyond. I think your approach to servant leadership, your patience with asking questions and actually learning and listening is commendable, and I'm really excited for where it's going to take the strategic plan and the organization moving forward. So thank you so much for all you're doing, and thank you to everyone that joined us today.
And thank you again to Jen and Ashley and Anna for putting this together and helping us. And thank you all for tuning in and giving us your time. And Jay, thank you. It's always a joy to spend time with you.
Same. We'll connect again soon.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.